Welcome again. Today we look at the importance of Surveyors report in Jamaica Part 2. Last time we spoke in Part 1, we spoke about the importance of the Surveyors report with regards to the surveyor identifying the property and ground and matching it with the title that he have in hand to ensure that they are one and the same. Because there are instances when persons occupy properties that are not the ones on the title, and then it's a raft of legal problems for everyone concerned. So the surveyor, in doing his inspection, he sorts that out in terms of matching the title information with that is on the ground to ensure that they are one and the same. If they are not, he reports it. But today we shall look at the surveyor's report from several different angles. One, we look at the surveyor's report in regards to what the surveyor does, which is identify the boundaries. He goes and he identifies the boundary of the property to ensure that the boundaries of the property are consistent with that which is on the title plan. Each title has a plan or a DP to which it has its meets and bounds, its measurements. The surveyor checks these measurements against what is on ground to ensure that they are one and the same or within the required tolerance which is to be acceptable. If they fall outside of that tolerance, the surveyor will make a note that the boundaries are not in agreement. Then he would make some form of recommendation as to whether there needs to be a repegging or whatever else needs to be done. He would make a recommendation as such. But he checks the boundaries to ensure that what is on ground matches what is on the plan. And there are oftentimes he also is able to check based on the measurements if the property, the subject property, is encroaching on another property or another property is encroaching on the subject property. This is also important. When he checks, he can tell if there's someone encroaching on the property or you are on another property. This is important to all concerned because when this is known, corrective measures can be taken. Of major importance to most lending agencies are the restrictive covenants. The restrictive covenants are a set of rules that are placed on the title that run continuously with the title regardless of owners, that stipulate what can be done and what can't be done on the property, and these are put there to maintain the integrity of a particular community. Some titles have no restrictive covenants or a few, whereas some titles have many, as in the instance with Caribbean Estate, which is a development in Portmore St. Catherine in Jamaica. It has some 26 restrictive covenants. The surveyor, when he visits the property to conduct his survey and his inspection, he at that time checks each and every restrictive covenant to ensure that they are not breached. The restrictive covenants can range from restrictive covenants telling how close one can be to the boundary, to the color of the building, to where and how can additions be done or modifications be done, if any can be done to the property. This is critical, and the surveyor checks this to ensure that this is so. If there are any breaches of the restrictive covenants, he would point this out on the report. He would point out which number restrictive covenant is breached, the nature of the breach, and what was the restrictive covenant, what it was. From this, all concerned a decision can be made as to what is done. Whether the restrictive covenant is amended via the court system or whatever the breach is, that is corrected to ensure that there is no longer a breach of the restrictive covenant. So all in all, it is very important surveyor's report in Jamaica. For now, we'll stop and we'll continue in the next one to look at our final in the series of the importance of restrictive covenants in Jamaica.